Alright, are you ready? Because this is the very last video before we get to the test driving part. What we're doing now is putting down a bead of silicone on the middle half of the case. And we are doing this so that we can put on the case for the bell housing. For the bell housing case. So you go around, make sure you get every inch of the case filled with silicone so that it does not leak. Okay, then we go on with the bell housing part. Alright, make sure it's secure and flush. Make sure the bell housing is flushed. Case is flush with the middle case. This is the torque converter seal. Make sure that is on there. If you don't have it on there, it will not have any torque converter pressure. Now also, I want you to understand there is a steel ring on that input shaft nose. The seal goes behind the steel ring. Behind the steel ring. Okay, there is the seal. The ring is in front of it. Okay, then you go to putting in your bolts for the bell housing. Now once I put the bell housing bolts in, as you see, I like to tighten one from one side and go to the other side and tighten it to make sure the case goes down evenly. And then once again, I am snugging them with the uh, impact gun. Allow more of the air pressure to escape the impact gun because I do not want to over tighten these bolts. Again, I like to feel how they tighten, so I will be going over these with my hand. So once again, I'll be hand tightening. Make sure you don't miss any bolts, because there are some places where you can leave a bolt out, especially when you're putting them around the bell housing. As you saw, some of the bolts went on the outside and some of them went on the inside of the case. Okay. Now at this point, if you were going to, you can put in front pump seals and axle seals, but in this case these axle seals and front pump seals were okay. Okay, now also make sure you put some lube or Vaseline around the torque converter seal, so that when it goes inside the torque converter, it will go in smoothly without being cut. Okay, after you make sure that the bell housing is secure and tight, then we go to uh, putting the should be going to putting the valve body on. That the valve body was not disassembled, because the only thing we were doing were repairing it, and we knew that it had no reverse, so we already found out what the problem was with the reverse. Problem being it not the rear planetary being destroyed and the forward clutches. Okay, now you put the speed sensor in. The bolt that you had left there in the valve body so as not to lose it, you take out, and then you tighten that speed sensor up, as I am doing now. Then you take the valve body. Now remember this tab here. It must go down in the groove. I am showing you that now. It has to go there. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now here we go, putting it in. And you may have to use a little pick or a screwdriver to make sure it goes in. Also, you need to be careful that the manual valve do not fall out on you, which I'm looking at it right now. Okay, I'm using a pick to put that lever inside. There's the manual valve. If you see it moving, do not let it get lost. If it fall down, or it can't be bent either, but it didn't fall all the way out. Okay, it's in. Now we go in putting in the number. Those are the 7 bolt, the 3 there. They're different number 7 bolts. Now these here are the number 10 valve body bolts. That's the manual valve I just pushed back. So then, put the valve body bolts in, and you tighten them. Now, for those of you who want to try this, transmissions or anything really is not hard to do. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. However, there are some things in life that are a little bit more time consuming and require a little bit more patience. Okay. Um, there are people who will tell you or make things to seem to be more than what they really are. I've come across many people like that. Uh, there's people who do not want to try to help you to do anything. I've come across people like that. However, if you search and you search a lot, you will end up finding that there are people out there that will help you uh, in assisting you in whatever you need to have done. You may have to search because you may come across a lot of bad ones, bad apples before you get to a good apple. But nonetheless, you will find what you need if it's in you to try to find it. Okay. So, but now with transmissions, you just have to have a lot of patience because sometimes they may not work. After doing all your due diligence to make sure that things are, you put everything back properly, you still may have some little thing that didn't work, because inside of a transmission there are hundreds and hundreds of parts that are working, and sometimes if one of those parts do not work, the whole transmission won't work or it won't act right. So you have to pay attention to what you're doing. And again, as I mentioned, make sure you use your camera. If you do not know where something goes before you actually touch it, use that cell phone. Get a camera, take a photo of it, then take it apart, and then you should be okay. Okay, now the number 7 bolts, I believe those are. You tighten those up. Alright, here are the number 7s right there. Now, here's the manual valve that kept sliding out. Um, we have to hook that up. Okay, first we're putting on the detent roller here, detent spring rather, which goes against the rooster cone. Make sure that's tight. Okay, now what we have is hooking up the manual valve. Watch what direction this little rod goes. Go in the inside, and then come out and hook it right into the manual valve. The spring is pushed back, and then you hook into the hole there, and the spring will go forward and keep it in place. Alright, next is the connector. Make sure when you put that in, you push it tight. Push in, feel the click. Make sure you can't pull it off. It should be snug. Should be completely tight in there. If it's in halfway, then your transmission will not work. And one thing I hate to do is go over things once I have done it. But if I have to do it, I have to do it. Once again, if you're going to get into doing transmissions, you have to be patient, because there's a lot of times that you will be doing things over. Oh yes. Alright, now that everything is together, we're going to now put on we should be putting on the pan now. Here we go. Now for the pan bolts. And then after you put the pan bolts on, you snug them. You can use a speed handle if you want. Again, I do this to make sure to get close to the pan, so that I don't have to be turning with the speed handle so much. Then you put on a speed handle, or you use the ratchet, and you snug them up. Now also understand this transmission is in a car called an Opel, which is no different than the Saturn Vue. Has the same powertrain, so you will go through the exact same thing. This transmission is not only Saturn Vue, it's in the Ion, it's in again the Opel, and I think one other car. I will probably post them so you would know what transmission this is in, or excuse me, what vehicle this transmission is currently in. Alright, so now we have everything put back together, and we're going to turn it around so that you can see that you have a job well done. Now we're going to move on to the next section, which is going to be a test drive. Let's see you there.